Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. Welcome back. Another episode of Topper Talk podcast. As always, we thank you for downloading and listening to every episode. We got a big one to talk about today. As always, I've got Tyler here with me, man. Tyler, you ready to dive in?
Oh, yeah, man. Let's talk about this butt kicking we gave to MTSU real quick.
We're going to do that. We're going to talk about that MTSU victory. We're going to talk about the upcoming game with Louisiana Tech. And as always, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Topper_Talk. And then follow our YouTube channel. That's at Topper Talk Podcast. Give us a subscribe there. Watch and follow every video that comes out. Get those notifications. I want to talk about our sponsor before we jump into the episode, and that is the Fireman Company. This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. As I always say, man, if you're moving, that will literally be the best decision that you make. Give them a call. Get a free quote. I mean, it's free. What can it hurt? Just find out how much it's going to cost for their services and save yourself that time and that backache, that comes along with moving. Let those guys do it. They're professionals. They're efficient. And they're fairly priced. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Now, before we jump into the main part of the episode, recapping that 100 Miles of Hate beatdown, first, let's get the red towel wrap up. Tyler, what have we missed in WKU athletics since we last recorded?
All right, so on 9/25 through 26, men's golf played in the JT Poston Invitational, where the team finished 15th at 8+. Luke Fuller and Connery Myers tied for 42nd. Riley Grandstaff finished 64th. Stephen Warren finished 75th. Nick Offman finished 91st. And Monday, Katie Craig was named Conference USA Co-Golfer of the Week. Then the lady soccer team, they had a match against FIU where they tied 1-1. The cross country, they were in the cross country live in the Louisville Classic. The women finished up in 5th place in the 5K race, while the men's squad finished 19th in the 8K race for the third consecutive meet this season. Freshmen led the way for both men and women. Jared Sandfoss led the men with a time of 26 minutes, 48 seconds, and Kenley Kunkel once again led the women with a time of 19 minutes, 26 seconds. The duo have been top finishers for each team in all 3 meets this season. And just today, before we recorded soccer, they played Chicago State, where they won 2-0. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, man. Before we jump into the episode, obviously you can see my background is different. I'm actually recording down in sunny Florida. We're on family vacation, but the show must go on. It's late Sunday night. We're night owls. That's what we do. We record, no days off. So we're going to bust this out. Now let's talk about this 100 Miles of Hate matchup. WKU hosted MTSU for the 73rd edition of the 100 Miles of Hate game and came away victorious with a 31-10 victory in front of 14,712 fans. WKU now sits at 3-2 on the season, and MTSU drops to 1-4. You hate to see it. That final score of 31-10, it looks like a comfortable victory. We're going to talk more about that, but looks like a comfortable victory. But there was a big portion of the game there, especially in the second half, where we just kind of got in an offensive lull. We weren't putting points on the board after we had such a big halftime lead. Then they were able to score a touchdown after halftime, made it 23-10, had the ball back a couple times driving. Looked like they might be able to get within 6-7 points if they were able to score. But luckily our defense was able to come up with some big stands, a couple big takeaways, and just really put this game away. The defense, in my opinion, kind of won this game for us. Offensively, WKU was led by quarterback Austin Reed. He finished 30 out of 52 for 297 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. The running game, man, it got back on track. Good to see. LT Sanders led the way. He had 7 carries for 83 yards, averaging 11.9 yards per carry. And Elijah Young had 6 carries for 30 yards with 1 touchdown. And you can't miss it. You've seen it on Twitter. You've seen it on ESPN Top 10. This boy hurdled an MTSU defender that tried to dive at his legs, went straight over that guy, walked into the end zone, had him a nice touchdown. Overall, the team had 28 carries for 147 yards. That's a 5.3 yard per carry average. So good to see the running game get back on track. Kind of don't let us be a one-dimensional team. I think when we have that versatility, it really makes us harder to defend, and I think it really opens up the likelihood that we can win a ball game and just have a better offense flow in general. Now, Malachi Corley led the wide receivers. He had 8 catches for 81 yards. Easton Messer had 4 catches for 43 yards with a touchdown. That toe tap drag there on the far side of the field from where I was sitting, down by the tents. A beautiful catch. Jimmy Holiday had 3 catches for 42 yards, and Davion Urban Poindexter had 1 catch for 18 yards with that diving Superman for the pylon touchdown. And worth noting in this game, 11 different players caught passes. So, again, still not at full strength, not at full capacity, offensively and with the wide receivers, still without Mike Matheson that we don't know when he's coming back. He's kind of on a week-to-week basis. Didn't see Blue Smith in this game. Didn't see Xavier Capers in this game. And still just a huge depth of guys catching the ball, and that's always good to see. Tyler, what's your takeaway from this offensive performance versus MTSU?
Well, I thought the offensive performance was pretty good. I knew it was going to be a good game whenever the first pass of the game, actually, Malachi Corley got it and just truck stick. He went shoulders down straight into the MTSU player's face, ran him over, and just kept going. And Easton Messer, the boy just keeps impressing me. He's getting better every week. Then I listened to the post game interview where the coach and Reed was talking about how they both kind of respect him, and Reed is like he's a guy who picks up his rifle and goes to work whenever his number's called. I'm glad that Reed is starting to. I hope, and I'm glad that he is starting to rely on other receivers a little bit more, because once you shut down Malachi Corley, you're going to have to focus on other receivers. But let's talk about some other players that caught some balls. Let's see. Musa Berry, he had 3 for 36 yards. Craig Burt had 3 for 23. Marquis Stepp had 1 for 19. River Helms, he had 2 for 15.
My boy.
Yeah. And Dalvin Smith, it was good to see him back on the field again. He had 3 for 13. And KD Hutchinson, he reeled in 1 for 8 yards. And Elijah Young, he caught 1, but it was for a loss of yards. But 11 receivers catching the ball, spreading that love around to everybody. And I'm here for it. I was going to mention this a little bit later, but, let's just break it out now. Last year, Reed, he was averaging, I think, 7.9 yards per pass. Of course, that was throughout the whole season. This year, he's only averaging like 6.5 yards per pass. So I don't know. I would like to see that number get a little bit, bigger. Hopefully, it will later in the season. But I know we bring this up a few times this season about how the air raid, may not be air raiding, but I don't know. Maybe it's just a new offensive coordinator. But I still think the offense is putting up good yards. It was great to see the running backs busted open. They're in the fourth quarter. LT Sanders got that big 56-yard run after that interception. It was great to see that. I am here for it because, I think once you make people fear your run, then your passes are going to be more open, and we're going to extend that field. So yeah, I think the offensive performance was great this game.
Yeah, I was. I came away overall impressed by the offense. My concern that I brought up kind of in the intro there was, we went to halftime with a 23-3 lead. Felt really good about things going into half with a 20-point lead. Um, but then we came out and I don't. If I'm recalling correctly, I don't think we scored at all in the third quarter. They put a touchdown on the board, and then we're actually driving down when it was 23-10, getting close to the end zone, and luckily our defense came away with the takeaway there, or else it would have been 23-16 or 17, kind of getting late into the middle of the fourth quarter. So that's my biggest concern is that several games this year we've seen long lulls of just the offense not just finishing drives, and that's points are going to be at a premium. In some games this year, we saw the USF game when we finally took the lead late, from the middle of the third to into the fourth quarter, like we were just having a punt fest. We were putting the ball back and forth with those guys when we need to be applying some pressure and scoring some points and put some distance between us and them. So that's my main concern. Sometimes it doesn't seem like Austin Reed is fully in sync with all the wide receivers, and I know that a lot of that is just how many new wide receivers he's throwing to. I mean, you talk about Musa Berry, Easton Messer, Katie Hutchison. I mean, there's several guys here, River Helms that, he doesn't have a lot of reps with, a lot of plays, a lot of game time with. They still developing that chemistry with. But, I know, again, first year offensive coordinator, a lot of injuries. We've experienced that the last couple of years as we've, broken in new offensive coordinator, broken in new quarterbacks. There's going to be lulls. It's not going to be perfect. I think we're kind of spoiled to, that 40 plus points per game, which, even is what I predicted this season. And right now we're just not there yet. Not to say we won't get there, but we're still winning games and putting up, good yardage and good points, even with those lulls in the game where we're not scoring points. So overall, I'm happy with the performance. There's obviously stuff there that can be cleaned up and, put the pedal to the metal a little bit more. It's just kind of how I talk about it. Now, looking at the other side of the ball defensively, the tops were led by Tacobe Williams. He had 12 tackles, half a tackle for loss, and an interception. Then we also had Jaquez Evans, who had 9 tackles, and Bryson Washington had 7 tackles, a fumble recovery, and an interception in his first career start. Then Upton Stout, worth mentioning, that boy was playing his butt off. He was laying some wood out there on the field. That boy was packing a punch and hitting some dudes. Unfortunately, he there was a play that had a flag thrown on it. I think there was an offsides by one of our guys. He ended up coming down with an interception, on the old sideline. Came down odd, looked like he was holding his arm or his collarbone. And from he left the game injured, he got carted off, was holding his arm close by. What I'm hearing, he was injured and going to miss multiple weeks. Not here to disclose what that injury was unless I see it on social media, which I haven't. But, I know he did leave the game. I know on Instagram he's alluded to the fact that he will probably be missing some time. I don't think the full season, but, it's tough to see cornerback one go down after the start to the season that he's had. He's been an impactful player, defended a lot of good plays, had some interceptions, passes defended, and just lays some hits out there. He may be undersized, but he makes up for that with his effort, ball instincts, and just knowing where to be. And hate to see him go down with an injury like that. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on the the defensive side of the ball and how we performed against MTSU?
Well, I think our defense, like you said earlier, I think they kept us ahead in this game. They could have easily gotten tired, especially there in that third quarter when MTSU took a page out of Troy's playbook and just behind, what were they at that time? Behind 20 points, just decided to chew up clock for some reason. I'm kind of glad they did because I had money going that Western would win by cover the spread. So, whenever they were driving that long drive, I got a little nervous because I was like, "Oh crap, we're going to win the game, but I'm going to lose that money." Shout out to Kentucky, legalizing sports betting if people don't know. But Hosea Wheeler had 6 total tackles, 4 solo. Kendrick Simpkin He had 5 total tackles, 1 solo. Kylan Goodry at 4 total, 1 solo, 1 sack, and 1.5 tackle for loss. I mean, I think our defense um, really made their receivers nervous. There was one where I think it would have been a pass to wide receiver, MTSU wide receiver. He was close to the goal line, and on the radio they said he kind of gator armed it. So he he was nervous of that hit that was going to come towards him, and he just missed that ball completely. Um, they applied pressure. They got some hurries on the QB. He threw 2 interceptions. That one, that one there in the fourth quarter when if I later watched it on TV. He threw the interception and then he looked like he just couldn't believe what he just witnessed. So he had to check the big board up there, and he even kind of cocked that head to the side, and he was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, you idiot! You just threw an interception. Get off the field so we can take over this game." Um, I think our defense went out there, played hard nosed defense. You're right, Upton Stout laying them hits. I went back and watched the game on Sunday, and that was great to see. But no, held them to 10 points, stopped them on that good goal line stand. Uh, took over down there at like maybe the 5-yard line. But the whole game defense played good. I'm here for it. Hopefully they keep it up throughout the season.
Yeah, those turnovers were just kind of key. At a time when our offense rather was just stalled out and not putting up points, not finishing drives. It was nice to see our defense doing their part. And they did that several games. They did it early in Ohio State. They did it versus Troy. Even though we went on to lose that game, and they did it against UCF second half. Really kind of flipped the switch and changed the whole outlook of that game. And they did it pretty much the whole game versus MTSU. To hold anybody 10 points, that's a good win. You're going to win a lot of games doing that. So before we jump in to grades, let's talk about the key indicators that we talk about for every game. WKU outgained MTSU 444 yards to 373. MTSU was 5 out of 16 on third downs and 2 out of 4 on fourth downs. WKU was 10 out of 19 on third down, so better than 50%, and 1 out of 1 on fourth down. So beat them in total yards and was much better on third downs, which has kind of been a problem for us this season. So good to see that third downs kind of cleaned up for us. MTSU had 3 turnovers. WKU just had 1 with that Austin Reed interception late in the game. Just kind of threw a ball that just hung up there too long. Taking a deep shot to Corley. Didn't work out for him. I didn't like the play call per se, but it happens. That boy's a gunslinger. He's going to give Corley a chance to go up and make a play. And then time of possession, MTSU had the ball for 28 minutes and 7 seconds. WKU had the ball for 31 minutes and 53 seconds. So key indicators, that's a clean sweep for WKU. That's going to lead to a lot of victories. And again, this was a big rivalry victory for WKU. We now lead the series 37 wins to 35 wins for MTSU with 1 tie. We've won the last 500 miles of hate games in a row, and we won 8 out of the last 9 overall. So, boy, I hope they keep Rick Stockstill around for a long time. 6-6 Rick, boy, give them a bowl game, give him a contract extension, send him to the Bahamas or Hawaii, wherever him and El Presidente want to go, and just keep him around poverty MTSU, because that's just basically an automatic W right there. So now, Tyler, let's jump into grades. What do you got for the offense against MTSU?
So, like I said earlier, we may have stalled out a few times, but we did score 23 points in the first half. And surprisingly enough, at halftime, we had ran 50 offensive plays, and we had like 200, I think it was like 50 yards at half, which may sound crazy, but if you see what happened in the third and fourth quarters, it kind of makes sense. But I gave them an A minus. I thought they played good. I thought they played, they had flashes of brilliance, and they kept the ball moving with only 6 punts. So yeah, I give them an A minus.
I'm not far behind you. I mean, I'm not mad at the offense. we're spoiled. Yeah, that's really what it boils down to. The last 2, 3 years, we were just spoiled to Bailey Zappi and Zach Kitley and Ben Arbuckle and Austin Reed last year and healthy wide receivers. We're just spoiled to 40 points a game and just blowing people out wide open, quick drives, big explosive plays on offense. So I give them a B plus, which is not far behind your A minus. Um, cleaning up that lull in the third quarter where we didn't score at all. That to me that pushes them to an A plus, but still hard to complain about. A pretty convincing offensive victory. What about the defense? What do you got for them?
All right, so they did give up 373 total yards. They did recover that fumble that was kind of funny to watch on TV because the quarterback was getting pushed out of bounds. He said, but and kind of made him look stupid after threw that second interception. Held them 10 points. I'm gonna give defense an A on the game.
Yeah, I mean, you can pick apart a lot of things if you want to. There's still some tackles that can be cleaned up. We had opportunities again to have more tackles for loss and sacks. They had a quarterback that was mobile, but at the end of the day, I mean, we only gave up 10 points. They had forced multiple turnovers. Fumbles, interceptions. So you got to give those guys an A plus. I mean, that was a stellar performance, and what they did. Kept us in the game, got MTSU off the field on third downs. 33% there is really good. And really, just kept them at arm's length away even when our offense wasn't holding up their end of the bargain there for a quarter. So you got to give the defense an A. What about special teams? What do you got for those guys?
Well, other than that botched snap on that extra point, that I'm glad did not count as a kick attempt. So Lucas Canario is still 100% on the season. Eller, he had 6 punts. He hit total 200 something yards on punts, and he got 2 within the 20 with no touchbacks. So it's going to be another weekly A for the special teams.
Yeah, actually, I had my head down. I missed the bot snap. I saw the tackle. I saw the result of the play, the tackle, but I had my head down. I don't remember what I was doing. We were sitting with a friend with their baby over there. I think I might have been holding a baby or helping with a baby or something. But I missed that. But I did immediately think, oh God, I hope that did not just mess up my perfect streak with Lucas, Mr. Automatic. But obviously it didn't. Didn't get the kickoff, bad snap, and got tackled. It is what it is. But yeah, other than that, I mean, good clean game on special teams. Tom had a good game. Just had another just what he does. I mean, as long as there's nothing crazy, no shank punts, nothing crazy like that, it's hard not to give the special teams an A because you don't want to talk about them just having a bad game, and they never do. They're just consistently good, so I'll give them an A. What about coaching? What you got?
I thought they came in with a pretty good game plan. There in the first half. It was that second half where they did kind of stall out, but I wish they could have came up with a better defensive plan during them. It just seemed like the MTSU drives during the third quarter went forever. Like that first drive they had, I mean, gosh, it felt like it went on all night. Really only went like 5 minutes or close to 6 minutes. Defense was smothering. I'm gonna give them a B plus in this game.
Yeah, I'm going with the same, and I'm just being more nitpicky than everything. But there was a couple times early in the game where it seemed like we would send out an outside blitzer, kind of a nickel guy, quarterback coming off the edge, trying to get in and hit the quarterback and break the play up. It seems like every time we did that, the MTSU quarterback would read it and throw, to a wide receiver coming where that soft spot, where that blitz was coming from, and gave up a couple third downs. And in my head during the game, it felt like it was worse than what it was when I pulled the stats after the game. I was, okay, we did really good on third downs. Then obviously the defense giving up 337 yards and only 10 points. Hard to be mad at that. I think offensively, continuing just to get familiar with everybody and the plays, the playbook. Didn't have any crazy, 12 men on the field errors like we did versus Troy a few times. Not a lot of penalties, false starts, etc., like that. Actually, there were a few offsides on the defense. Yeah, Jaquez got a little happy, was trying to time the snap. So I don't really put that on coaching though. I mean, he's an aggressive player. He's trying to time the snap, get to the quarterback, and just make a play. But the coach, I'm giving those guys an A. I think they did a good job. They beat a rival. It is what it is. Um, Now for the fans, I know you didn't get to attend that midweek game. You had work obligations. Over 14,000 announced. Obviously, that's not a great crowd. But as we delve into these midweek games now, for the next few weeks, that's kind of might be what we're looking at. So, what kind of grade do you give the fans?
Well, I was watching on CBS Sports Network whenever I was walking around, and they did a picture of, or they did you can see the berm whenever they was kicking a field goal, and I mean the berm looked full. I'm glad the students showed up. Uh, I didn't get to see too much of the stands, but I mean 14,000 for a Thursday night game when Bowling Green apparently had a big game going on. I'm gonna give them C plus, B minus.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm gonna give them a C. People complaining about being Thursday game. Yes, Bowling Green had a football game. It was also this week. This weekend was fall break that was starting for Warren County schools. So even if this game were on Saturday, if it were yesterday for some reason instead of Thursday, it would have been about this same number, whether it was a daytime game or a nighttime game. And it would have been, the excuse would have been, oh, everybody was leaving the county. I know the small road I live in, the subdivision I live in, everybody on our road left Warren County. And a lot of those people are people that go to games. So, the fan support is what it is. That 14,000 number, we land there a lot. So I give it a C, just an average, fan support game. Overall, it's good to be back in the win column. It's always good to dominate MTSU and send them back to Murfreesboro with an L. They can hold it. They can get used to it. They can shine that thing up because they're going to be holding it for a long time. But now we turn our attention to Louisiana Tech, and we'll cover them right after this break. All right, and WKU travels down to Ruston, Louisiana next Thursday on 10-5 to play the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech. WKU enters the game with a record of 3-2, while Louisiana Tech sits at 3-3 currently. They played a week 0 game, so they've now played 6 total games. The game is at 8 p.m. on ESPNU, and WKU has opened as a 9-point favorite. The ESPN Power Index gives WKU a 66.5% chance to win, compared to 33.5% for Louisiana Tech. Overall, the teams have played 9 times previously, with Louisiana Tech holding a 5-4 series edge. They last played in 2018, with WKU winning 30-15 in Ruston, which was our first and only ever football victory in Ruston, and that was with Mike Sanford. So, kind of crazy. It's been that long since we played them. We got down to those last 2 games of the year, and he led us to a victory there. But Tyler, before we jump into the specifics of this game, what does it look like versus Louisiana Tech just on paper from an aerial view?
Well, before I jump into all that, I will say I remember it was Brom's first season, and throughout earlier that season, we weren't doing very good. Everyone was excited with the new hire, and I was at Hilligan's watching the game with a few friends, and that was the last loss I believe we took that season. We may have had one more, but
They blew us out that game. Yeah.
oh yeah, it wasn't ass kicking, but I remember after that game, I guess Brom just jumped on him and said, "You know what? That's never going to happen again." And by golly, it didn't really that season. But we may have had one loss that I'm forgetting about. But this game, I think it's going to be our run defense is going to have to be there. I feel like they run. They rely on that a lot more than passing. It maybe a little bit. It is a bounce attack, and they do spread the ball around to a bunch of different players. But I think this game hopefully don't turn into a shootout. But I think it's going to be a really fun, good game to watch.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the players to watch out for Louisiana Tech. Now, they had picked up a quarterback transfer from Boise State, Hank Bachmeyer, who had been their starting quarterback to start the season. He actually got hurt a couple games ago and was out with a shoulder injury, is what I've seen it reported as. He was doubtful or and out for last game that they just played UTEP. So the starting quarterback the last two games has been Jack Turner. So we're going to talk about him, even though we're not sure who is going to start. I'm going to highlight Jack Turner since he has started the last two games. He's a 6'5", 230-pound sophomore. He's 48 out of 79 on the season, and with 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He ended up coming in and throwing 42 passes in a loss against Nebraska. And then in their most recent game was 9 for 20 for 152 yards at a victory over UTEP. So it doesn't really look like a real accurate passer, even though he's kind of been substituted in, maybe not had a lot of first team reps. So kind of might have a nice advantage there by having a quarterback who's not as experienced. Doesn't seem very accurate, but we'll see. He might also be settling in. La Tech is also led by a duo of running backs who have over 200 yards on the season. They have Tyree Shelton, who's a 5'11", 190-pound junior who has 37 carries for 318 yards and 3 touchdowns on the season with an 8.6 yard per carry average. Then they also have Keith Willis Jr., who's a 5'11", 206-pound freshman with 33 carries for 240 yards with 3 touchdowns and a 7.3 yard per carry average. So a couple guys that tote the ball and do it pretty well. Those yards per carry average are tough, and we know that our run defense at times has been susceptible to giving up big runs and just not being able to get off the field. And, if those guys are doing that on first and second down and putting themselves in third and short positions, it could be a long day. Obviously I hope that doesn't happen, but their wide receivers, they're led by Smoke Harris, who is a 5'7", 183-pound senior. He is also effective in the kick and punt return game. He has 37 receptions for 368 yards and 3 touchdowns on the season. And then they also have Cyrus Allen, who is a 6', 177-pound sophomore that has 18 receptions for 331 yards and 2 touchdowns with an 18.4 yards per catch average. I thought this was interesting when I was looking up their stats. They've had 17 different pass catchers this season. I didn't look ours. I don't know what ours is. Obviously, I know we've had a couple games where we had 10 and 11, so I know it's going to be a big number. But 17 different pass catchers, that's a lot. And then when I was going down that list, several of those guys had, 18, 19, 20 yards per catch averages, even if it was only a catch or two. But it just leads me to believe, that they have a lot of playmakers kind of up and down that roster, some burner guys, that are just dangerous. And a lot of teams are going to focus on Smoke Harris. He's a smaller slot receiver type guy. Kind of think that Nick Norris type mold. That really, if he gets the ball in his hands in open space, he's tough and he can burn you. But if you focus on him too much, they've got other guys that also can hurt you. And I thought that was interesting. Looking at their just their balance of offense. They had good running backs and also a lot of good wide receivers. It looked like. And their coach, we know he came from Texas Tech. Was the offensive coordinator there. He's the reason, Sonny Cumbie, he's the reason when they hired him that we lost Zach Kitley, a couple years ago. And he wants to install that air raid principles type offense. So could be an interesting game. Could be kind of, Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man here. A couple teams that want to, move fast, put the ball up and down the field and score a lot of points. Yes, that's what every team wants to do. But these two teams have a lot of similarities in their offenses in a lot of ways and kind of the personnel and how they use them. Now, offensively, Louisiana Tech is averaging 376 yards per game. That's 224 passing and 152 rushing, and they're scoring 27 points per game. They're also only converting 33% of their third down attempts, which is almost exactly what we held the MTSU to. Better than our season average. And if we can keep it around that number, I think we've got a good chance. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts on the Louisiana Tech offense?
I think it looks kind of impressive. I don't like their head coach because, we lost our offensive coordinator, so piss on him. But, I've heard of Smoke Harris before, and he seems like he's doing a really good job. I also looked on their on ESPN, and some of their rushers, like I think their third or fourth leading rusher, also has a defensive back position by his name. So, he may just he don't like just hitting players on the defensive side, he's going to like hitting you on the offensive side as well. Hopefully, with that, Jack Turner, he's 6'5", 230, good sized kid. Hopefully, he will be a little nervous. Maybe he'll be back there shaking like a dog trying to pass a peach pit. That's what I'm hoping for. He did throw 42 passes against Nebraska, but nah, I could go out there and do that. No, I think the La Tech offense is to me it looks impressive. Hopefully our run defense is able to shut down our line, and linebackers can shut down their running backs, and our secondary is going to be keyed in on, not just Smoke, but Allen and the rest of them. Try to keep them weapons contained.
Yeah, Smoke Harris was a preseason all conference wide receiver and punt kick returner. So he's definitely a big target, kind of the main cog in their offense. But we just talked about they've got a lot of other guys, and you're right. Their third and fourth running backs. I almost mentioned them, but those top two guys were so yard heavy compared to the next two. Even though they all had a good yards per carry average, they were all above 5, if I'm not mistaken. So they kind of remind me of us. We have a pretty deep stable of running backs, but they seem like they may be a little bit more effective in their ground game to this point. We'll see how that holds up. We're much better against MTSU. Hopefully that, as now that we're into conference play, hopefully that trend continues. Now, defensively, Louisiana Tech is allowing 378 yards per game. That's 224 passing and 152 rushing, and they're giving up 22 points per game. Meanwhile, WKU is averaging 383 yards per game and allowing 473 yards per game. We know that's a little bit skewed from the Ohio State game, and even that first game against USF, that first half, I think 75% of the yards were in the first half, and then we kind of shut them down that second half of the game. So, but we're still scoring 32 points per game, but we're allowing 29 points per game. So close games there, scoring wise, what we're scoring and allowing. So, Tyler, how does this matchup look defensively for you?
Well, I'm going to take a cheap shot here and say at least one of their defensive players, their linebacker, won't be on the field after that cheap, dirty. I'm sure you've probably seen the video of him stomping on that UTEP player's helmet / neck. There is no need of that in football. I mean, I'm all up for good hits, but that's just that pushes it. That's dirty, and but defensively, well, I'm hoping we average about 450, 475 this game. I think they're going to definitely apply pressure to us, and they're going to key in on Malachi. They're not stupid. Teams ain't stupid. They know who to key in on. I know they're probably going to try to bracket him in and make us hit different targets. So that's where Easton Messer, River Helms is going to show up. Hopefully, our run game gets there and gets set up and alive. I think. Man, this is it to me that I have been looking forward to this game because it seems like most of our games are always good games. I think this one's going to be another one to add to the stockpile, man.
Yeah, you talked about the running backs, the running game a little bit. It was nice to see Marquis Stepp and Davion Urban Poindexter last game catch those balls out of the backfield. I think having those versatile backs, and then River Helms had a couple catches, and then we talked about all the other wide receivers. So really like to see some of the more of those guys get more opportunities to catch the ball, and I think that's really going to ease things up for Malachi and Easton and Dalvin and just all the other wide receivers, whether on the outside or across the middle. I think the more body punches you can throw to other guys is going to open up things for them. So now we're going to get into the 3 keys for victory versus Louisiana Tech. Tyler, what's your first one?
All right. First one, keep the run game alive. Keep pumping oxygen into it. Shock it if you need to. Get the little mallets and beep, doof, and just keep it going.
Yeah, I also said establish the run. I mean, we've got to keep that thing going. We can't be one dimensional, drop back and pass. 50, 60 times. I think we talked about in the preseason that our run pass mix was a little bit more run, not heavy, but not as we weren't 75-25 like we had been previously under Kitley. It was more like 66-33. Where that run pass mix was kind of evening out a little bit. I think we'll always be pass heavy. With Tyson Helton here in the offense that he wants to run, but we can't be one dimensional. Is what we can't be. Having a trio, several runners. Elijah Young looking better every game. LT Sanders, when he gets in the game, he looks great. Marquise Stepp and Poindexter, we know what they bring to the table. We have too many good running backs to not utilize them, and they all bring something different to the table, I feel like. So we definitely have to establish the run, and that's definitely my first key to victory. What's your second?
It's going to be get pressure on their QB. This is before I even knew that Jack Turner was coming in. He's a sophomore. He only thrown 79 total passes, and I think, the MTSU quarterback back in 21, he had to come in and fill in for their starting quarterback's job, and we forced 5 interceptions. Now, I don't know if we can do that against Jack Turner, but he's already thrown 2 this season. So let's add 3, 4 more to it, and let's get pressure to him and make him nervous.
Yeah, I'm going to combine my second and third one because I had 4. I'm cheating on my keys to victory. But I'm going to combine my second and third one because I put win turnovers and get off the field on third downs. And I think I can sum both of those up by what you just said, basically. Put pressure on the quarterback. This is a guy that's going to be in his 3rd career start, I'm pretty sure. Doesn't have a lot of reps, first team under his belt. So get in his face, apply some pressure, and just make him have some mistakes. Force him into bad passes, interceptions, knock the ball out of his hand, whatever that may be, make him uncomfortable. I think a lot of D1 quarterbacks, if they have ample time to just drop back and scan the field, they're going to make a good throw. They're Division I quarterbacks for a reason, but I think if we can make him uncomfortable and not let him settle in the backfield and get the ball out quick, get in his face, Jock Evans, Hosea, Dante, just all those guys that are just space eaters and want to make plays, I think that's going to be a key to victory is roughing him up and making him have a long day. What's your third key to victory?
I'm going to say contain the run game because, they have multiple weapons just like we do. We shut down the pass game or we contain the run game, make him nervous. Hopefully we can generate some turnovers that way, but we got to contain that run game because our run defense, some points in this season, has been atrocious. So.
Yeah, and before I get my third, I do want to apologize. There are Disney fireworks in the background. That is not bombs over Baghdad. I'm not being attacked. The Magic Kingdom fireworks are going on. We are close. I can hear them. I can probably see them if I turn around, but I'm not going to watch. I'm going to focus here. But my third key to victory is keep the pedal down. This game could end up being just a close, cried out game. We saw that versus Troy. Third quarter versus MTSU, we saw where it could have gotten close when the offense kind of slowed down. Even late in the game versus USF, it was close. It was a 1-score game until Jaquez Evans had that strip sack fumble for a touchdown, and then we had added a field goal as well to kind of have a good cushion for a victory there. But just those long lulls, full quarter plus lulls of nation drives, not putting any points up. Even if it's field goals are fine because there's going to be close games where it comes down to a possession, and we're going to need every point we can get. So definitely keep the pedal down. Even if again, Middle Tennessee, we were up 20 at half, and then it just felt like we abandoned the passing game a little bit. We went run heavy, which again is fine. Establish the run, but we still need to punch them up with with what works, and that's our quick passing game. Whether it's those screens out to the flats or something over the middle, whatever it may be, don't completely abandon it. And what felt like starting to bleed clock when you're up 20 in the second half. Let's keep the pedal down. Let's put some points on them. Let's blow them out and get that second victory down in Ruston. Tyler, who's your MVT, your most valuable topper versus Louisiana Tech?
All right, so last week I went with a running back, and the run game came alive, so I'm going to keep on that bandwagon. I'm going LT Sanders. because he impressed me this last game. He broke free. He got that 56-yarder. I'm going with him, trying to keep him hot.
I like LT. He's a nice change of pace back, and when he burst onto the scene last year, I was impressed by him. He's fast. He's small. He's elusive. He's fast. He hits the hole, and that big run he had against middle really just it flipped the field. It was just nice at that point of the game. We needed that kind of that burst of energy, that excitement. Um, but my MVT, not going to be a running back. It's actually going to be Malachi Corley. Had a strong first half versus MTSU, and then I don't want to say disappeared. More game flow and execution, what we were doing, running more. But I want to see him have a big game against Louisiana Tech. He didn't find the end zone against MTSU. Usually, if you put the ball in that man's hands, he's going to find the end zone. So let's get him the ball, let him make some plays, let the Yak King do his thing. Now, what about your score prediction, Tyler? Who you got winning? What's the score?
All right, so in the preseason, I picked 48-34. I'm going to knock that down just a little bit to maybe 31-21. Yeah, yeah. I'm going 31-21.
So covering the spread, we're favored by 9. At least it opened at -9 WKU. So if you're betting, you like the spread, even though that line may move up to kickoff. We'll keep our eye on that, obviously. I've got it 38-27. So again, covering the spread, 11-point victory. Um, we've been close. 32 points per game is what we're averaging, and we've talked several games now about empty drives and just not finishing drives. So that would be a game where we finished more drives, put more points on the board, whether it be field goals, touchdowns, whatever it may be. So I think 38-27 is very possible. I think Louisiana Tech is going to be competitive. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, like the MTSU game kind of turned out being, and started out in the first half and just kind of cruised to a victory. I think it's going to be more of a competitive game. Turnovers, short field, etc. Might play a big factor in this game. So I think 38-27, Toppers win, Tops win, you win, we lit, baby. Um, Man, that's it for this recap and now the preview of Louisiana Tech. Really excited. Another Thursday game. Obviously, it's on the road. I'll be down here in Florida. It's on ESPNU. Thank goodness I'll be able to watch it. So, looking forward to it. Tyler, go ahead and give us your final words and take us the heck out of here.
Well, another hate week is come and gone, and it's always good whenever you get to stomp a mud hole in MTSU. See Stock still looking all sad there on the sidelines. May his tears fill everyone's cups up this week. Moving on. La Tech, like I said earlier, I think it's going to be a good game. We're talking about Thursday night games. Just wait till after we get done with this game, then bye week, then we have 2 Tuesday night games. Not looking forward to them at all. But I'm going to take off work both them games, so at least I'll be able to be there. I think we play Liberty one of them games right on the 24th. Yeah, so people are it's a great week to be a Topper fan. Great, go and support the since the Tops are on the road this week. There's other sports that you can go and cheer on at Western. Soccer, volleyball. I know they would love to have everyone there to cheer them on. So with that, I'm going to say, Moth, who has it better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You already know.
You right. Go Tops.
Go Tops, guys. Later.